of Acts, chapter 17, starting with verse number 22. That's Acts 17th chapter, starting with verse number 22. And it reads, Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. As I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God, whom therefore you ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worship with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath in all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitations. We take our topic today from the 26th verse. Have made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and have determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. So the topic on today, institutional racism.
Amen.
Institutional racism. I feel that it's really sad that we have things happening and confronting us.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't understand the root cause why these things are happening, we tend to blame the wrong people. You look at black people performing in school, you say because they don't study. You look at black people in high levels of poverty, and you tend to think, well, it's because they don't want to work. We buy into the stereotypes of things that have been said about us while understanding what God's word says. The thing of racism is a newfound concept. Racism is not given in the Bible. The only race that God knows is the human race. Everything else is a creation of man. Here we find the Apostle Paul at Mars Hill. He's talking to the Athenians, and these are not Jews. But Paul makes a comment to them that out of one blood, all nations of people were made out of one blood. Amen. Paul is not saying that there is a difference based on you because of the color of your skin or the thickness or the nappiness of your hair. That there is no difference because God made one man, Adam, and gave him a wife by the name of Eve. And from Adam and Eve came all of mankind. Mm-hmm. But because we don't know what the Word of God says, we bought into stereotypes or what some would call institutional racism. Okay. The thing that really makes it really personal for me is that I filed 2 Title VI complaints related to the city of Durham. Mm-hmm. One is related to the school system. Mm-hmm. In the school system, it said that African Americans or blacks were being disproportionately expelled or suspended from school, mm-hmm. more so than whites or Asians or other students. Why was this happening? Some of us buy into it, well, because black children are just bad children. Because black children just don't want to listen. No, that's not the reason why. Amen. The Title VI complaint saying that when the Office of Civil Rights responded, said, no, you know what, it's not just a black problem, but it's a problem we want to address for the whole school system to see why this is happening. Amen. Institutional racism. Mm-hmm. And then we have another Title VI complaint with road building. Here in the state of Oklahoma, mayor of Charlotte, who became the Secretary of Transportation in the Obama administration, made the statement that they use road building to deliberately displace or negatively impact African Americans or blacks. Mm-hmm. We have the same thing happening here in Durham with the building of the East End Connector. Yeah. Here's a road going through a minority community, elderly community, and they're saying that it's okay and it's all right without realizing that institutional the reason why they're choosing black communities. Why they're winning roles through black communities. To know that it's institutional, in 2007, the state of North Carolina apologized for institutional racism, saying that government offices that they supported, places that they supported, schools, institutions they supported, they acknowledged that these places were discriminatory, that they were discriminating against blacks. What is institutional racism? Institutional racism is a form of racism expressed in the practice of social and political institutions, whether implicitly or explicitly expressed. Institutional racism occurs when a certain group is targeted and discriminated against based upon race. We see these things happening. Here in the school system, I saw that, and this is what I put this comment out. I said that anyone that believes in evolution is a racist. Oh no, it's cultural. Darwin was only writing what his times were saying, and Carl Linnaeus was only writing. These are two races. They're only writing what their times dictated, and they weren't racist. They were just writing based on. No, wait a minute. I thought science was different than culture.
Come on, come on.
If you give me something based on science, that should overrule the culture of the day. But what has happened is that we have so bought into institutional racism that we don't know that it's working against us. I've had black folks that they believe in evolution. How can you as a black person believe in evolution? You know what evolution says? Evolution says that the closest ancestor you got is an ape or a monkey if you're a black person. I was up in Washington, D.C. where I went to the congressman's office, once again, on this Title VI complaints talking about institutional racism. Went up to Washington, D.C., and the guy that was driving around in the cab was from Ethiopia. I said, well, tell me some of your history about Ethiopia. I said, tell me something, because I said, you know, here in America, we tend to get this biased point of view when it comes to Africa and what's talking about Africa. So can you give me some information on it? He said, yeah, Lucy. I said, what did you say? He said, yeah, Lucy from Ethiopia. I said, no, you didn't. Lucy is this thing that got me started on this trek that I'm on. My daughter brought home a textbook. And in the textbook, they said, it was a caption underneath the picture that said, this was the first African woman. And it was a picture of a monkey standing upright. And that's what they call Lucy. I said, wait, now, so you see that it's institutionalized. It's worldwide, and we've so much bought into the teaching of evolution that we can't see, well, you know what? That teaching of evolution is against us as black people. Why do I say that? If you say that, they say that, you know, they've done DNA sequencing in 1987. It was a worldwide survey of human mitochondrial. Now, for those science, those chemists, they know what this is all about. DNA was published by Kahn, Stone, King, and Wilson in Nature magazine. And his main point was that all mitochondrial DNA stems was from one woman, and she probably lived in Africa. They said, you put all the DNA together, because you know this, a black woman can give birth to a mongoloid child, or a child that's not black but looks more white than black in skin color and complexion. But you know what? I've never heard of a white woman giving birth to a black child. So what am I saying? So it goes and fits that, you know what? Yeah, black folks were there in the beginning. Black folks were there in the beginning. But what has happened, they've been into a next. So if you buy into evolution, you know what that says? That says, you know what? The black man came from the ape first. And then, as the mankind began to get better, they became white. And this is what was in the textbook. If you look at the time continuum of evolution. The first fish got the ape. Then you got this creature look just like a black man. Thick nose, lip, dark skin, dark complexion. But then as the time continues to go on, you come to modern man, then it could have kept them black. Now he's white, blonde hair, and blue eyes. I said, well, you could have at least kept them the same color. And so now, all black folks have been exterminated.
Right.
But you know what? That's what evolution teaches and says. What are you talking about?
Talk to us.
Darwin, in his book, Survival of the Fittest, or the preservation of the preferred races. Which race is the preferred race? Someone said, you know what? He's talking about like cabbage. He's not talking about race of people. If you read the book, you find out what he's talking about. In the book, he refers to Indians, Aborigines, and black folks as savages. White folks is referred to as intellectual and learned and educated.
Come on.
So, you trying to talk about cabbage? Yes, okay, cabbage. This is what Darwin said in his book. At some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races, white, of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races, blacks, Aborigines, Indians, throughout the world. This is what Darwin said. And this is what we have in our schools. So then you wonder why your children act where they at, because you teach them they're close to apes and animals. Why do you think these little young girls act like they can't keep themselves, they get married? It's institutional. There is nothing that tells young girls gotta have sex, but they institutionalize on TV. You see them getting jumping out of bed. You see it in the music. The guy told me he was unsaved, signed this contract to do rap, got saved, became a preacher, went back to the guys and said, you know what? I'll do the rap music for you, the contract I signed, but I can't use vulgarity and call women bees and things like that because I'm now saved. You know what the man told him? The recording company told him who he signed the contract with? We can't use you. It's institutional. You think you're the bumping and grinding and doing all this stuff and backing it up? You think that is something that's naturally a part of who you are? That's not who you are. That's institutional. But because you don't know it, you do it. So that's who I am. Tell you this, I've been to Africa. Go to Africa and tell me some of these four-letter words you're using and tell me what you hear in Africa. You don't hear it there. It's institutional. They put those words in you and then you say, oh, and when I get mad, I say, because that's why I'm black, that's why. That's not who you are. And the thing that I found out too, it's about drinking and getting drunk. That's a white man thing. They said when the bubonic plague happened and all the folks were dying from, they found folks who were drinking alcohol. It was giving them some kind of way to kill the bacteria out. So they started drinking so much here in Europe. And so black folks, you go to Africa, they don't seem all drinking, like doing drunk in these European countries. So folks drinking drunk, that's institutional. Who told you that drinking makes you feel good? Who told you that? It's institutional. And we don't realize that a lot of stuff we're doing is based on stuff they told us and made us believe about ourselves. That's not who we are. Carl Linnaeus, another person in the same textbook my daughter brought on. This is what they teach in the schools now. Carl Linnaeus. The Encyclopedia Britannica quotes him as saying, the Asian, for example, is yellowish. The Asian is yellowish, melancholy, endowed with black hair and brown eyes, and has a character that is severe, conceited, and stingy. The African is recognizable by the color of his skin, by his kinky hair, and by the structure of his face. He is sly, lazy, and neglectful. He is governed by the arbitrary will of his masters. That's the black man. As for the white European, let's call it, this is in our textbook, this is a person we're teaching our children. It's institutionalized. And we don't know why we think what we think. So what he said about the Asian, so what he said about the black folks, and this is what he said about the white European. He is changeable, clever, and inventive. This has been taught in our schools. I sent this up to the mayor of the city of Durham. I said, Mayor, we need to get the teaching of evolution out of our school system because it's racist. And anyone that believes in evolution is racist. There is no known invention. There is nothing that evolution has done to help anything in anybody's life. But yet they still, well, I believe in evolution like I'm smart. You believe in a lie?
Yes, you are. That's a lie.
I sent it to the mayor's office, Mayor Steve Shule. I say we need to get this evolution out of our schools because this is the thing where the discrimination is coming. He responded back to me, Pastor Wells, I abhor racism too. He said, but you know what? We've got to go after Donald Trump because he's trying to take all the science, trying to shut the science down. I said, what does that got to do with what I'm talking about? And that's what they do. They get you sidetracked, get you off where you go. We're talking about what's happening to our black children in our schools. We're talking about what they've been teaching us and telling us. And because we don't know better, then we're going to, yeah, you know what? He's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. So I'm going to forget about what's happening in the school system. I'm going to forget about what evolution teaches. I'm going to forget all about Carl Linnaeus and Darwin. And I'm going to go after that Republican called Donald Trump. And your child still going back being told he's an ape. Yeah. He's a monkey. Yeah. That he's slower in learning. Yeah. There's this thing they call, and it has never been officially refuted, called scientific racism. Scientific racism teaches that based on your genes and your genealogy, based on who your mama, who your daddy is, you've inherited defective genes that make you dumber and slower. And they say that for this reason, that this is why it's a waste of time putting money in the social program. Because these stupid people, these dumb folks, they're going to always be stupid and be dumb. And give them money just to waste the money. And give it to the learned, most well-endowed people. Give it to them. UNESCO, the major part of the UN, this is the UN Economic, Social, and Cultural Organization. And I sent them a letter too about this stuff. And the reason why I sent it, you're going to see. As defined in this constitution, is to contribute to peace and security by promoting collaboration among the nations through education, science, and culture in order to further respect for justice, the rule of law, and human rights. They came out against the scientific racism, which the schools has not officially rejected. They still believe that some people are inherently more intelligent than other people based on their family's pedigree. So that's why they used to sterilize black women back in the day. Because they felt they were inferior. And they said, we don't want anybody bringing on no inferior children. So they were sterilizing women. A lot of times they didn't even know it. And they passed, they won a lawsuit victory where they're supposed to give these women money because they sterilized them, because they bought into that lie. The same lady who helped to legalize abortion, you the same girl talking about babies should be killed in the womb. And you better believe, where do they have the abortion centers set up?
Come on.
In the black community, we are stupid, dumb, and crazy. We believe all this stuff they're telling us instead of realizing that life in the womb is what God right now, they're killing black people. You have more, they're talking about what happened down there in Florida. God forbid, I hate that happened. I think it's a terrible thing for any parent to drop their child off in school that morning and that afternoon you have to plan a funeral. It's the worst feeling you could possibly feel. Right. But the thing about it, show you how we've lost our minds. They say the number of school murders is like 1,000 or something. How many babies each year are being aborted and no one say anything? And the majority of those babies being aborted and killed are black babies. And they're telling you, kill our babies. It's worth nothing. It's institutional. They made you feel that there's life in your womb. Yes, you made a mistake, but don't complicate that mistake by killing that baby. That's true. That baby is a life, yes, that God gave.
Yes, so true. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
UNESCO, part of the UN, said, determined also to promote the implementation of the United Nations Declaration and International Convention on the elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. This was November 27, 1978. The Declaration on Race and Racial Prejudice. The UN came out saying this. Article 2 of that statement, that declaration they made, says this: any theory which involves the claim that racial or ethnic groups are inherently superior or inferior, thus implying that some should be entitled to dominate or eliminate others presumed to be inferior, or which bases value judgment on racial differentiation, has no scientific foundation and is contrary to the moral and ethical principles of humanity. This is what the UN said. Now, obviously they follow through with that, because I sat there and I said, you know what? They're teaching evolution. I read you what Carl Linnaeus said, which is where they say Darwin got his thinking, I'm thinking from, and I read you what Darwin said about evolution. Now, they're going to say, well, you know what? Evolution is racist. It teaches superiority and inferiority of one race versus the other. Let's see if the UN follows through with that. Institutional racism. To show you how far this thing has gone. There is this book called The Bell Curve in 1994. And this book was making the statement that intelligence is genetic. Just because your mama's smart doesn't mean you're smart. And you know, a lot of times we don't argue with them because we like to think, oh, my baby's smart. But then you know what, there are some babies that are smart and parents aren't smart. But they put this book out, and this whole thing was based on this kind of racist way of thinking. So you know, the white people are more intelligent than black people because it's genetics. To show you how pervasive this is. How many of you have heard of the Stanford-Binet IQ test? Guess what? It's based on the same way of thinking. Lewis M. Terman. They say that whites score higher than blacks, rich score higher than poor, and in some tests, women and men score different from task to task. Why is that happening? Because these tests that are given, these IQ tests, is not based on who you are, it's culturally biased. And so now, because I know when I was coming in, and I was in high school, and this young lady was in my class, she was one of the smartest black ladies in our class, always at the top of the class. She took the SAT test, and she told me she made over 900. Man, we were ecstatic. You made over 900 on the SAT. Oh, we were ecstatic. Then we heard the white folks are making 1,200, 1,300, 1,400. I said, wait a minute now. And then they began to slowly admit that the SAT test is culturally biased. Because those same people, well, I'll tell you about myself. Now, when I was going off to college, I wasn't as focused as ever. So when I was going off to college, they said, you got to take an SAT test. I said, what? So I just showed up one day to tell you. Didn't prepare this to. I'm there telling you. I think I got like 820, 850, something like that. And so when I went up there to sit there, they said, Mr. Williams, based on your scores, we need to give you remedial math. You need to take remedial math. Now, I knew, this is what I'm trying to say, institutional racism. They make you feel dumb. Don't let anybody hold your child back in school.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't think, that's what he said about my daughter. They said, oh, well, she's not socially developed because she could have skipped a grade. They said, well, she's not socially developed because she drawed a man, she didn't give him a neck. She just put the head on top of the shoulder. And they said, she's not socially developed. I said, oh, my daughter, she's going to the next grade. She won't skip that grade. She started talking to her cousin. They told her, second grade is hard, man. You don't go to second. It's hard. You don't skip your unit. But what I'm saying, I was there in college. They told me, well, you have to take remedial math. I said, because I knew I was smart. I took that biased Stanford Binet test, IQ test, that I took a borderline genius. I said, you gonna try to tell me something? I said, I'm not, Miss Willis, that's our recommendation. The only thing about you in college, they can only recommend. They can't stop you from taking classes. You can take class you want to. They don't put your remedial. You want to take advanced geometry, chemistry, whatever you want to take. I said, no, I'm not taking it. So they put me in calculus class. I wouldn't sign up for calculus class. And guess what I got? A's and B's. What am I saying? Don't let somebody tell you what you are. Right. Know who you are. But that's how pervasive it is with the Stanford Binet IQ test. Don't let that test my team. Well, I guess I'm a moron. I guess I'm an imbecile. That's what they say. I just scored over 100 on the SAT test. No, it could be because now, and the sad thing about it now, they got these classes now set up whereby if you don't have a computer at home, you can't do the work now. So you don't have a computer at home, so you can't do the lesson now. They're talking you dumb. No, you not dumb.
You're not dumb. You just don't have no computer.
Institutional racism.
That's right.
So that's what I'm doing now. I filed another Title 6 complaint. Got 2 Title 6 complaints. They responded to one of them last time before. Got another that's going on.
Yes.
Because we don't understand the sad thing about it. I reached out to them. I'm going to call names because I reached out to them. They haven't responded. I reached out to the Ministerial Alliance. I reached out to the Durham Committee on Affairs of Black People. I reached out to all the Durham Business and Professional Chain, all these black groups talking about this institutional racism, and how many responses do you think I've got? You know why I haven't gotten a response? Because it's institutional. It's in our minds. It's in our head. Oh, leave them alone. Well, you know, evolution could be right. Oh, so you believe you came from a monkey. You believe you came from a monkey. You know what you want to believe, too? That your uncle is out there in the forest, Uncle Oak and Uncle Maple. Aunt Maple. Uncle Oak. That's the full scale of evolution. That you have a common heritage from a tree. They don't tell you that. Oh, but I'm smarter because I believe in evolution. Don't know how dumb you are. And you're going to believe, no, I believe in evolution. I thank God for my grandson went to school. They tried to put that stuff about evolution. He said, no, Jesus was in the garden.
Yes.
That's what he said, something like that.
Tell them, preach to them.
That's what I'm saying. You understand? They're trying to bombard our mind, make us feel infuriated, insecure, instead of realizing, God, you know who I am.
Amen.
That's what we see in Acts 17:26. And hath made of one blood all nations of men for the dwelling place of the earth. And hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. God said, I made man, but God knows I get an habitation. So you got blacks in Africa, you got Europeans in Europe, but you know what God says? Same blood, but I gave them habitation. Why? Because when God created the United States of America, said, the most evangelical nation now on earth, they said the United States of America. God knew what he was doing. He created the United States of America. God reached the world with the gospel of Christ Jesus. God knew what he was doing. That's what God said. I didn't set these bounds, these habitations, so that you can say, well, I'm black, you white, I'm Asian, whatever. No, I set this so that you would know that you're going to play a part in the plan of salvation that I have for the world.
Amen.
To show you the God does not discriminate. Genesis 3:20, and Adam called his wife named Eve because she was the mother of all living. Who did he say was the mother of all living? Eve. Didn't say there was a monkey that was your mother. Didn't say that a tree was your uncle. It said Eve. But you know what? And that's the lie. I talk to these folks all the time. They think they educated. I said, why do you believe in evolution? The fossil records don't even support evolution. You don't see the transitional form. And if evolution was true, you know what you should be out there now? You see a half-man ape out there walking like this.
Thank you.
What is it?
Thank you.
It's stopped the evolution process?
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm educated and you dumb. Because I believe in no, you the dumb one.
Thank you.
Genesis 3:19. 9:19. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them the whole earth overspread. Sons of Noah, after the flood. God didn't say that, oh, you know what? You're not related. You're more intelligent than that one. You're dumb enough. No, that's not what God did. Those are the lies we believe. We allow us to put those things in us, in our mind, our heads, so we believe the lies. And so, and I thought it was so funny, even with the Bible. They translated the Bible. You find Cush in the Bible. It's the same word as Ethiopia. One is Greek, other is Hebrew. And they're trying to keep the history from us so much. They translate it as Cush. When they're being done with Ethiopia in other places. And the same thing in the textbooks in school. When I get the textbooks in school, they talk about the Cushites were dominating and ruling nations. They were called Cushites. But when they were going to slavery, they were called Ethiopians. Same people. One is the Greek, one is the Hebrew, other is the Greek name for the same people. God doesn't discriminate. Malachi 2:10. Have we not all one Father? Have not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously everyone against his brother by profaning the covenant of our Father? I said one thing I said to this right here. The only one that can bring restoration to this country are those who've been beat down. The ones who beat you down can tell you, love, forgive. I'm beating you, whipping you, killing you, raping you. No. But the ones who've been had those things done to them, they can rise up and say, you know what, I forgive you. That's the thing that brings about healing and restoration. Romans 5:12. Wherefore by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. He said by one man sin into the world. Now, how many of you know somebody that has not sinned? So that means that we've been about told the truth, that is. So if everybody has sinned then the Bible must be true too, and saying that, you know what, by one man. Who was that one man? Adam. The Bible is sure. We just look around and we see these things. And we're buying into these lies of institutional racism. To show you these things happen, these things taking place. But you know the good thing about this right here is that when you look to this country, United States of America, this thing I say black folks don't get it. When you look at black folks becoming who they are, it was the Word of God. Look to the Civil Rights Movement. You know what they met? They met in the churches. Yep. Who were the leaders? Preachers. Yep. And you know what? Blacks, they said, were more industrious, owned more businesses, did greater things then than now. And you know why? Because their foundation was in the church. That's right. And now, we become so educated now that we think, oh, I don't need to try to my education. You're falling further and further behind. Believing the lie of institutional racism instead of believing what God's word says. But thanks be to God. If your mind is still in slavery, John 8:32 can set you free. Christ Jesus our Lord said this, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now, if you walk out here still believing that your great ancestors were an ape or a chimpanzee, you are going to think that maple and oak somehow another created you, then that's because you want to believe it. It's not because you don't know the truth. And how do we get to that point where we know the truth, that we can shake off this institution of racism? John 14:17. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, he shall be in you. You know what? I was so proud of my grandson. When he stood in that classroom against that teacher, told me he didn't believe in homosexuality. Told me he didn't believe in that stuff. And you know what? Let me say this here. If they send your child home with a report of homosexual, you better coach that child. Don't you dare think your child can respond to you. I know when my daughter's in school and they had talking about the evolution stuff, and the students say, well, that's what the teacher said. I ain't know how to respond to it. So you sit there and you go, and when you take that stand with your child, you teach your child how to take a stand. See that stuff home. I'm going back to school and challenge you on what you say. My child gonna stand against a teacher. Come on, well, I know what I'm talking about. You don't. I'm gonna teach you the stupid. Matilda. But that's what we gotta do. We can't expect our children to be able to go toe-to-toe with these teachers and with the school system. We got to go and say, you know what? My child doesn't believe in homosexuality. My child doesn't believe in evolution. And I don't want my child bring home stuff like that. If you don't take a stand, you're denying the truth of God's Spirit being in you. And that's where institutional racism comes from. Because you're denying the truth. When you've heard the word of God, you decide, I'm much rather believe like I believe what God's word says. There's no evidence. There's no fossil records. There are no transitional forms. You don't see it out there. You can name one thing that evolution has added to society or made us better. Not one thing can you name. But you know what? Folks say they believe it. And the only reason for evolution is to keep certain people down. Oh no, they were just dogged and called in and right at their times. No, it wasn't. Why then hasn't it been rejected when we got over slavery? Why is it still being talked about today? Because it's still an intent to keep certain people down. Institutional racism. Well, around the opposition of the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that they walk around emboldened on the truth of God's word. Nobody make us feel inferior, make us feel dumb, make us feel less than, because God said every one of these made is fearfully in the one thing made. And one thing God doesn't make junk. Y'all may not be able to dunk the ball like Edward, but they can't stop me on that fast break either.